Captain Zexlar stood on the bridge of the Imperial scout ship Destiny's Eye his forearms crossed behind his back as he watched Jupiter's massive form drift past their viewport. The giant gas planet's swirling storms seemed peaceful from this distance. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Kretil, worked quietly at the sensor station, her scaled fingers dancing across the holographic controls. Another primitive world, another simple conquest, Zexlar said, more to himself than his crew. They had done this countless times before. Find a developing world, mark it for invasion, move on to the next target. The Galactic Empire's expansion was eternal and unstoppable. The sensor readings from the third planet were exactly what they expected. Radio waves carrying entertainment broadcasts, primitive chemical rockets, and a handful of basic satellites. Zexlar had seen it all before. These humans would never know what hit them. Captain, Lieutenant Kretil's voice carried an unusual note of concern. Something strange in these readings. Zexlar walked over to her station, his footsteps echoing on the metallic floor. What is it? Their response time. It's impossible. Kretil pointed to her display. We dropped out of hyperspace 3 minutes ago. In that time, every major space agency on their planet has already tracked us. They're sharing data in real time. Zexlar frowned, his outer eyelids blinking rapidly. Check your equipment. A primitive species couldn't possibly. Sir, another crew member shouted from the communication station. We're receiving a transmission in perfect galactic standard. The bridge fell silent. It took decades of study for most species to master galactic standard. Even with the Empire's advanced translation matrices, no first contact had ever involved immediate communication in their language. Put it through, Zexlar ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. A clear, calm voice filled the bridge. Unidentified vessel near Jupiter. This is Earth Defense Command. You have entered restricted space. Leave now. This is your only warning. Zexlar let out a barking laugh, but it sounded hollow even to his own ears. Send our standard response. Inform them that they have been chosen to join the glorious Galactic Empire, and that resistance will only... Sir, Kretil interrupted, her voice shaking. Multiple objects just appeared around us. They weren't there a second ago. Our sensors can't identify their composition. Zexlar rushed to the main viewport. Small dark shapes had indeed materialized around their ship. They seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. His ship's advanced sensors couldn't even get basic readings from them. Impossible, he whispered. Ready weapons and... The strange objects vanished as quickly as they had appeared. At the same moment, their ship's systems registered a massive energy spike from Earth's direction. A beam of light, too fast for their sensors to track, passed through their supposedly impenetrable shields like they weren't even there. It struck a small asteroid nearby, and the space rock simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. Just gone. The calm voice returned. That was a demonstration. We will not repeat ourselves. Leave. Now. Zexlar's hands shook as he gave the order to retreat. As they prepared to jump to hyperspace, he couldn't shake the feeling that they had just made a terrible mistake. Not in retreating, but in coming here at all. In his 40 years of service to the Empire, he had overseen first contact with 17 species. None of them had ever given just one warning. None of them had possessed technology that could bypass Imperial shields. And none of them had ever seemed so confident. As Destiny's Eye disappeared into hyperspace, Zexlar knew with certainty that the Empire would not heed this warning. And somehow he knew that was exactly what Earth expected. Admiral Voxen's massive frame cast a shadow across the Imperial War Room's central holodeck. His gray skin gleamed under the harsh lights as he studied the rotating image of Earth. Around him, 24 of the Empire's highest-ranking military officers watched in silence. One primitive planet dares to threaten us. Voxen's deep voice carried a hint of amusement. They will learn their place, just like all the others. The doors slid open, and Captain Zexlar hurried in. His report from Jupiter had caused this emergency meeting. "Admiral, with respect, there's something different about these humans. Their technology. Their technology is centuries behind ours." Voxen cut him off. "We monitored their broadcasts. They still burn fossil fuels. Their fastest ships can barely reach their own moon." In the back of the room, junior analyst Minra fought the urge to speak up. She was the youngest person there, and the only one who had actually studied Earth's history in detail. Something about their warning bothered her deeply. Voxen continued his speech. "We will send 500 ships, multiple invasion waves, standard conquest protocol." He smiled, showing sharp teeth. "I have conquered 47,000 worlds. Earth will be no different." Minra couldn't stay quiet any longer. "Sir," her voice cracked, but she pushed on. "I found something in the archives. Every civilization that has ever given just one warning. They're all missing from our records." The room fell silent. Voxen turned slowly to face her. "Missing?" "Yes, sir." Minra's hands shook as she connected her tablet to the holodeck. 7 cases in our history. Each time, an Imperial force encountered a seemingly primitive world. Each time, they received exactly one warning to leave. And each time, she swallowed hard. The Imperial forces that ignored the warning disappeared completely. Captain Zexlar stepped forward. "That matches what we saw at Jupiter. Their weapons, they went right through our shields like they weren't even there." Voxen slammed his fist on the table. "Enough. We are the Galactic Empire. We do not retreat because of coincidences and ghost stories." He turned to his officers. "The invasion fleet launches in 6 hours. Anyone who questions this order will be charged with treason." The room quickly emptied, leaving only Minra staring at her data. She had found something else, something even more disturbing. In each of the 7 cases, the civilizations that gave the warnings had appeared primitive at first. All their visible technology had seemed centuries behind the empires, almost like they were hiding something. She rushed to her small office in the archives, buried deep in the Imperial Palace. Her hands flew across her computer, digging deeper into Earth's broadcasts. Something caught her eye. Tiny irregularities in their signals, patterns that didn't quite make sense. "Oh no," she whispered. The door hissed open behind her. 2 Imperial security officers stepped in. "Junior Analyst Minra," one said flatly. "Admiral Voxen feels your research might cause unnecessary panic. You are hereby reassigned to the agricultural colony on Proxima II, for the Empire's glory." As they led her away, Minra caught one last glimpse of her computer screen. The pattern she had discovered in Earth's broadcasts wasn't random noise. It was a complex code, hidden in plain sight. And if her translation was correct, it contained technical specifications far beyond anything the Empire had ever seen. High above the capital, Admiral Voxen's invasion fleet began to assemble. 500 of the Empire's finest ships, crewed by millions of its best troops, prepared to attack a world that had given them exactly one warning. They were about to learn why Earth hadn't needed to give a second one. Admiral Voxen watched Mars grow larger on his command ship's main screen. The red planet's surface showed no signs of human defenses, no military bases, not even a single weapon. His fleet of 500 warships spread out behind him, ready for the final approach to Earth. "Status report," he commanded. "All ships in position, Admiral," his second-in-command replied. "Earth continues to only show primitive defense capabilities. Their space stations are evacuating. Their missiles remain in their silos." He paused. "They appear to be accepting their fate." Voxen smiled. The junior analyst's warnings seemed foolish now. Earth was just like any other primitive world. All talk, no real power. "Send the final warning," Voxen ordered. "Tell them to surrender or—" Multiple alarms screamed to life across the bridge. Around his fleet, space itself seemed to ripple. "Admiral," his sensor officer's voice shook. 10,000. No, 20,000, 50,000 objects just appeared. They were cloaked somehow. Our scans never detected them. Voxon rushed to the viewport. Satellites surrounded his fleet, appearing from nowhere. They had been there all along, hidden by technology that shouldn't exist. Each one was small, barely the size of a shuttle, but they glowed with strange energy his sensors couldn't understand. Impossible, Voxon whispered. Their technology is primitive. We saw their broadcasts, their rockets. Sir, his communications officer interrupted. Incoming transmission from Earth. A human appeared on the main screen. She wore a simple blue uniform with no marks of rank. Behind her, Voxon could see what looked like a modern command center, nothing like the primitive facilities they had observed before. "This is General Sarah Chen of Earth Defense Command," she said calmly. "We warned you once. You chose not to listen. Now you will understand why." The strange satellites activated. Beams of light connected them, forming a giant web around the Imperial fleet. Voxon's sensors showed energy readings that broke all known laws of physics. "All ships, open fire," Voxon ordered. "Launch all fighters. Show these primitives the power off." His words died in his throat. The human satellites weren't attacking. Instead, they revealed what had been hidden beneath their cloak. Massive defense platforms, each one larger than his biggest warship, powered up around Mars. Weapons unlike anything he had ever seen aimed at his fleet. "Hold on," Voxon said quickly. "We can discuss this." "Surely we can." "We tried discussion," General Chen replied. "You chose war." She looked off-screen and nodded. "Activate the defense grid." The platforms fired, not with lasers or plasma, but with weapons that bent space itself. Imperial ships simply vanished, erased from existence. Fighters disappeared mid-flight. The mighty Imperial shields might as well have been paper. "All ships retreat." Voxon screamed. "Full power to engines. Get us out of." A bright light filled his bridge. When it faded, half his fleet was gone. Not destroyed, just gone, as if they had never existed. "This," General Chen said, "is what we've been building while you watched our fake broadcasts and laughed at our primitive technology. 100 years of preparation, hidden in plain sight." She leaned forward. "Would you like to see what else we've been hiding?" Voxon, the undefeated admiral of the Empire's greatest fleet, felt true fear for the first time in his life. He realized the truth too late. Earth hadn't been preparing for an invasion. They had been waiting for one. In the depths of the Imperial Palace, Minra sat in her tiny cell, waiting for her transport to the agricultural colony. The guards had left her with her personal tablet, probably thinking it was harmless since it couldn't connect to the Imperial network. They didn't know she had downloaded all her research before they arrested her. The tablet's screen glowed in the dim light as she studied Earth's history. The more she looked, the more the pieces came together. Their technological progress didn't make sense, unless they had been hiding their true capabilities all along. The cell door slid open. Instead of guards, a tall figure in an Imperial intelligence uniform entered. "Junior Analyst Minra," the man said. "I am Agent Kaz. We need to talk about Earth." Minra sat up straighter. "Half the invasion fleet is gone. I was right, wasn't I?" Kaz nodded grimly. "The humans, they're not what we thought. Our deep cover agents just sent their final reports. What they found." He shook his head. "The Empire needs your help understanding these humans." He placed a secure hologram projector on the floor. Images flickered to life. Ancient Earth structures, old human documents, and strange symbols. 3,000 years ago, Minra said, pointing to the images, Earth's technology was exactly what you'd expect. Stone tools, simple machines, basic metalworking. Then something changed. She swiped through more images. "Look at these patterns in their development. Every major breakthrough, every technological advance, it was all carefully planned." Planned. Kaz leaned closer to the hologram. "By whom?" by humans themselves. Minra pulled up an ancient human painting. See this. It shows a meeting between humans and something else, something that warned them about us. The painting showed strange, tall figures giving something to a group of humans. In the background, a shape that looked eerily like an imperial warship loomed in the sky. They knew we were coming, Kaz whispered. All this time. Minra nodded. Earth didn't develop naturally. They guided their own evolution. Each generation built on a master plan created thousands of years ago. She showed more images, hidden laboratories beneath ancient monuments, secret cities inside mountains, and massive underground facilities that never appeared on any official maps. Every time we monitored their broadcasts, every primitive satellite we detected, every leak of their military capabilities. It was all fake. A giant show put on for anyone watching from space. Kos paced the small cell. But why? Why hide their power? Because they learned from whoever warned them. Minra pulled up her final piece of evidence, a transmission intercepted just before the invasion fleet arrived. Look at this message. It's coded, but I cracked it. It reads, Protocol Omega active. The trap is ready. They have received their warning. The agent's face went pale. A trap? You mean? Earth wanted us to invade. Minra closed her tablet. They spent 3,000 years preparing, building weapons we can't understand, hiding their true power. And when we finally came, she looked up at Kos. They gave us one warning, just like the others before them. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the palace. Kos's communicator buzzed with urgent messages. What's happening? Minra asked. The humans. Kos's voice shook. They're not just defending Earth anymore. They're attacking. And our weapons. He stared at the hologram of the ancient warning. Our weapons don't work against their ships. None of them. It's like they've spent 3,000 years learning exactly how to defeat us. Minra finished quietly. And we just walked right into their trap. Admiral Voxen stood before the Imperial High Command, his uniform still smoking from his escape. The Grand Chamber was silent as the remaining fleet commanders watched Earth's attack unfold on the massive tactical display. Impossible, one of the commanders whispered. They're using technology that can't exist. On the display, Earth's ships appeared and disappeared at will. Their weapons ignored the laws of physics. Imperial scientists had said these things couldn't be done, yet the humans were doing them with ease. Send in the Guardian fleet, the Emperor's voice boomed from his throne. All of it. Voxon turned in shock. Your Majesty, the Guardian fleet has protected the throne for 10,000 years. If we send it, if we don't send it, there won't be a throne to protect. The Guardian fleet emerged from hyperspace near Earth's moon. 2,000 of the Empire's most powerful warships. Ships that had never known defeat. Ships built with technology even the Empire's best scientists barely understood. General Sarah Chen's voice came through on all Imperial channels. So, you've chosen to continue. She sounded almost sad. Very well. Admiral Wong, you may proceed. A new type of human ship appeared. Smaller than Imperial vessels, they looked like arrows made of light. Hundreds of them, moving in perfect formation. Those ships, Voxen's tactical officer reported. They're impossible. Our sensors show them existing in multiple places at once. They're somehow in the past and future at the same time. The aeroships attacked. They didn't fire normal weapons. Instead, they seemed to fold space itself. Imperial ships found themselves firing at enemies that had already moved minutes ago or hadn't arrived yet. The humans were fighting outside of time itself. Launch the planet killer, the Emperor commanded. End this now. The Empire's ultimate weapon, hidden in the Guardian fleet, powered up. A massive cannon capable of destroying entire worlds began to glow with deadly energy. But Earth was ready even for this. A small box appeared in space between the planet killer and Earth, just a simple black cube, floating silently. The planet killer fired. Its beam, powerful enough to crack a planet in half, struck the box and vanished. What happened? The Emperor demanded. Where did the beam go? As if answering his question, space lit up behind the Imperial fleet. The same beam that had vanished into the box now emerged from another one, striking the Empire's own ships from behind. They've mastered quantum tunneling on a massive scale. Minra's voice came from the back of the chamber. Agent Koss had brought her to observe. They're not just fighting with advanced technology. They're fighting with perfect knowledge of how to counter everything we have. The tactical display told the story. In just 20 minutes, half the Guardian fleet was gone. Not destroyed, simply erased from existence. The humans weren't just winning. They were doing it without a single casualty on either side. Your Majesty, Voxen said quietly, I don't think they're trying to defeat us. What do you mean? The Emperor demanded. Look at their attacks. Perfect precision. They're removing our ability to fight without killing our crews. Voxen watched another ship vanish. They're not fighting a war. They're conducting a demonstration. On the main screen, General Chen appeared again. Your Guardian fleet is neutralized. Your planet killer is useless. Would you like to see what else we've been holding back for the past 3,000 years? Or are you ready to talk? The Emperor slowly sat back on his throne. For the first time in the Empire's history, they had found a power they couldn't defeat. And somehow, everyone knew this was exactly what Earth had planned all along. News of Earth's victory spread through the Empire like wildfire. On the colony world of Proxima II, thousands gathered in the streets, watching leaked footage of Earth's ships defeating the Guardian fleet. Imperial propaganda couldn't hide the truth anymore. In her small office at the colony's farm administration building, Minra received messages from across the galaxy. Other analysts, scientists, and even military officers wanted to know more about Earth. But one message caught her attention. It came from Earth itself. To Minra, junior analyst of the Imperial Archives, the message read, We've been watching you. You saw the truth when others wouldn't. We'd like to talk. Before she could respond, alarms sounded across the colony. Through her window, Minra saw Imperial ships appearing in the sky. But they weren't attacking. They were surrendering to small Earth vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. On the Imperial capital, Admiral Voxen faced a growing crisis. His bridge crew had locked themselves in the ship's main control room, refusing to follow orders. Sir, his first officer's voice came through the intercom. We've seen the human broadcasts. They're sharing their technology with everyone. Free energy, medical advances, things the Empire kept secret from its own people. They're lying. Voxen slammed his fist on the door. It's all propaganda. No, sir. My sister on Centauri Prime sent me proof. The humans gave them plans for food replicators. No one is hungry anymore. The officer paused. We won't fire on people trying to help our families. Across the Empire, the pattern repeated. Earth didn't just defeat warships. They shared knowledge. Colony worlds that had struggled for centuries suddenly had clean energy and abundant food. Sick people received cures the Empire had claimed were impossible. In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor watched his realm crumble. On screen after screen, reports showed the same story. Ships deserting, colonies declaring independence, and Earth's influence growing. How? He demanded. How are they everywhere at once? Agent Koss stepped forward with a report. They've had sleeper agents in place for centuries, Your Majesty. Hidden technology, secret bases, quantum communication networks, all waiting for this moment. They didn't just prepare for war. They prepared to rebuild everything. A new message flashed on the main screen. The Emperor recognized General Chen, but this time she wasn't in a military uniform. Instead, she wore simple civilian clothes. Your empire is finished, she said calmly. Not through war, but through hope. We're offering your people something you never could. Freedom to grow, to learn, to live without fear. You can fight this and lose everything, or help us build something better. The Emperor stood to respond, but stopped as his own royal guard lowered their weapons. My daughter was dying, the guard captain said quietly. Earth's doctors saved her. They asked for nothing in return. He looked at his emperor sadly. I serve the people first, Your Majesty. And right now, Earth serves them better than we do. Minra watched all this from her office on Proxima II. Earth ships had landed in the colony's main square, bringing not soldiers, but teachers, doctors, and engineers. They weren't conquerors. They were liberators who had spent thousands of years learning the right way to help. Maybe, she said to herself, looking at Earth's message on her screen, some empires fall not because they're conquered, but because something better takes their place. She began typing her response to Earth. Around her, the imperial flags were already coming down, and a new chapter in the galaxy's history was beginning. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, Agent Cos followed his human guide through a vast underground facility. The Empire had sent him to understand their longtime enemy, now turned reluctant ally. What he found shocked him more than any of Earth's advanced weapons. This facility, his guide, Dr. Sarah Martinez, explained, has been here for 3,000 years. It was the first of many. They entered a massive chamber. Historical artifacts filled the room. Ancient tablets, star charts, and something that made Cos freeze in place, a perfectly preserved alien spacecraft. We called them the messengers, Dr. Martinez said quietly. They arrived when we were still learning to work iron. Their ship was damaged, barely able to fly. They were the last survivors of their civilization. Cos walked closer to the ship. Its design was unlike anything in Imperial records. What happened to them? The Empire happened. Martinez pressed a button, and a hologram appeared. It showed the messenger's home galaxy, system by system, being consumed by Imperial expansion. They spent centuries running, watching other civilizations fall. Then they found us. The hologram changed to show ancient humans meeting the messengers. They could have conquered us easily, Martinez continued. Instead, they chose to help us. They knew they were dying, but they wanted their knowledge to live on. They gave you their technology? Cos asked. Martinez shook her head. No. They gave us something more valuable. They gave us time. They showed us what was coming and helped us make a plan. Then they left, drawing the Empire's attention away from Earth. More holograms appeared, showing Earth's hidden history. Underground cities where humans developed technologies in secret. Fake satellites broadcasting false signals into space. A worldwide agreement to hide their true progress. Every major nation, every leader for 3,000 years kept this secret. Martinez said, we built our cities to look primitive from space. We sent out radio signals that made us sound generations behind our real progress. Everything the Empire saw was carefully designed to hide what we were really doing. In another part of the facility, Minra studied ancient human documents. They showed the beginning of Earth's great deception, how they had hidden their quantum technology behind fake rocket launches, masked their energy discoveries behind false power plants, and concealed their space fleet behind a facade of primitive satellites. It wasn't easy, an elderly human scientist told her. Imagine discovering clean, unlimited energy, but continuing to burn fossil fuels just to maintain the deception. Imagine having cures for diseases, but waiting to release them slowly, so it wouldn't draw attention. Your people agreed to suffer temporarily to prepare for this. Minra asked in disbelief. We knew what was at stake. The messengers showed us, not just the Empire's power, but its weakness, pride. They never imagined a primitive world could threaten them. So we became what they expected to see. Back in the main chamber, Cos watched recordings of Earth's hidden achievements, centuries of technological progress, all carefully concealed. A global effort spanning thousands of years, countless sacrifices, and endless patience. Now you know the truth, Martinez said. We didn't want this war. We spent 3,000 years trying to find another way. That's why we gave you one warning. She smiled sadly. We learned from the messenger's mistake. They gave the Empire multiple chances, multiple warnings. We decided to give just one. Kaz looked at the ancient ship again, finally understanding. Earth wasn't preparing for war, he said quietly. You were preparing to end all wars. Yes, Martins replied. And now finally, we can stop hiding. 1 year after Earth revealed its true power, the Imperial Palace looked very different. Where once armed guards stood, now scientists and diplomats from 100 worlds walked freely. The Emperor's throne room had become a council chamber, and today it would host its most important meeting yet. Minra stood at the speaker's podium, no longer a junior analyst, but the head of the new Galactic Relations Council. The room was packed with representatives from both former Imperial worlds and newly discovered civilizations. The transition is complete, she announced. The last Imperial warship has been converted for peaceful use. The last weapon of mass destruction has been dismantled. She looked at her notes and smiled. And Earth has finally shown us their last secret. The main screen lit up, showing a massive space station near Jupiter. It wasn't a weapon or a fortress. It was a gate, a doorway to other galaxies. We found 7 more civilizations like the messengers, General Chen said, standing up. Societies that ran from the Empire and hid in other galaxies. Earth wasn't just preparing to stop the Empire. We were preparing to bring everyone home. Admiral Foxon, now working with Earth's peacekeeping fleet, watched in amazement as the gate activated. Ships began coming through, refugees returning from centuries of exile, bringing their own knowledge and cultures with them. But how can we trust each other? Someone asked from the crowd. After so much war. Minra had expected this question. She pressed a button, and the chamber's lights dimmed. A hologram appeared, showing Earth's greatest gift to the galaxy, the Truth Network. Earth didn't just develop advanced technology, she explained. They created a way for all species to truly understand each other. Not just words, but feelings, hopes, and fears. She touched the small implant behind her ear, Earth's device that made real communication possible between all species. No more misunderstandings, General Chen added. No more fear of the unknown. We can finally see each other as we truly are. In the back of the room, Agent Kaz watched with the former Emperor, who had chosen to help with the transition rather than resist it. They could have destroyed us, the former Emperor said quietly. Instead, they're helping us become better than we were. That's why they won, Kaz replied. They spent 3,000 years learning not just how to defeat an empire, but how to replace it with something stronger. The chamber erupted in applause as the first returning refugees entered. Species thought lost forever came home to a galaxy that had changed while they were gone. Minra took a deep breath and made the final announcement. As of today, the Galactic Empire officially ends. In its place, we establish the United Worlds Federation, a place where knowledge is shared, not hoarded, where strength comes from cooperation, not conquest. She looked at her tablet, where a message from Earth's leaders glowed. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. And now, she continued, Earth will share one more thing with us. The messengers left them a star map, thousands of galaxies waiting to be explored, not conquered, not colonized, but invited to join our community. The chamber's ceiling became transparent, revealing the star-filled sky above. Among those stars, Earth's ships were already preparing for their next mission, not to fight, but to find others who had hidden like they once did. We begin a new chapter, Minra concluded, not as conquerors or conquered, but as equals. Not in an empire of fear, but in a federation of hope. As the applause filled the chamber, she smiled at the Earth representatives. Their one warning had started this change. Their patience had made it possible, and their wisdom would help guide what came next. The galaxy had needed 3,000 years and one morning to learn a simple truth. Real power comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to know when not to.